This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Welcome everyone to Top Beer. Today we're doing Brews in the News, or is it News in the Brews? No, News of the Brews. Or Brews in the News, that sounds better. What do you think? That has a better ring to it, right, Tim?
It's tough.
It's
tough. I think I like Brews in the News better.
Yeah, I agree.
But news about Brews
it doesn't have the same...
feels more correct?
It feels more correct, but it doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And as we all know, Tim, it's better to go with something that sounds right than to go with something that actually is right. Do you know what I'm saying?
Or it's more important, yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're in this day and age, nothing matters unless it just sounds right or feels right. It doesn't matter how you should react to anything and everything nowadays is emotionally. Don't react to anything logically, because logic has gone completely by the wayside, if that's the right phrase. Nowadays, it's more about just going with your gut. Like Stephen Colbert once said, you got to go with your gut, because that's where the truth lies, right? Mm-hmm. You know, he said, and I quote, "There's more nerve endings in your gut than any other part of your body." Now, I know some of you are going to look that up and say that's not true, but that's because you read it in a book. And everyone knows books have a well-known liberal bias. Oh no, I messed it up. Everyone knows the truth has a well-known liberal bias. But enough about that. With me, as always, is my co-host in this endeavor, Timothy Robert Buckner. How you doing tonight, Tim?
Doing good. Just hanging out here.
Did you like that little opening diatribe?
I did. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't. You know, I was telling Sarah earlier today. I was like, like everything now it's all political on Twitter. It's all political. Comedians I used to follow who are great still, and they always write funny shit. Now all they're doing is just writing funny shit against, this administration that we have right now. And on Facebook, it's no better. And it's like you can't go anywhere anymore to escape it. But I think that's why I enjoy this show more than anything else that I do or listen to, because we just talk about beer and enjoy it, right? I know sometimes we throw in political jokes here and there, but we're not gonna oversaturate our show with that stuff, because there's plenty of other avenues you can go down to get that sort of political stuff, right? So let's not poison the well, if you will, by doing that on this show.
Yes, let's not.
I'm saying that more to myself because it's so easy to want to go down that route, but we're not going to do it. We're going to resist, right? We're going to #resist, which is a trending hashtag right now. Funny enough. Anyway, okay, so we're doing Brews in the News. I have some stuff here, but Tim, what did you have for us tonight? I'm going to let you go first if you have something you want to yak about.
So, let me see. I didn't really plan for you to have me go first.
Okay, well I can go first. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So I follow the R Beer subreddit on Reddit, which is it's funny because it's got a lot of followers, but like the posts on there don't get a lot of comments. It's weird. It's like you'll see like a post, for example, the one I'm about to talk about. It only has 7 comments, right? And it's like this subreddit has 192,000 subscribers. So I find that kind of strange. Like you'd think people would be talking about beer more than that, but I guess not. Anyway, so this is from Rocket News, rocketnews24.com. Actually, if you type in, it's a Japanese website, so you got to type in en.rocketnews24.com. Amazing Tokyo restaurant offers all-you-can-drink beer plans starting at less than $1. Now, this sounds pretty gimmicky to me at first, right? But let's go ahead and read into it and see just how gimmicky it may or may not be. This may be the best deal ever for fans of beer and shochu sours who are tight on cash and time. One of Japanese advertisers' favorite phrases is one coin, used to describe goods and services which can be purchased using a single yen coin. Usually they're referring to the 500 yen, or US $4.30 coin, the largest denomination piece currently in circulation. So when we heard about a Japanese restaurant chain that offers all-you-can-drink beer, I want to say it's wine, but it's spelled wince, and shochu cocktails for 1 coin, we were pretty excited. Then we found out that the prices for the deal started at just 100 yen, which is US 86 cents. 86 cents. We were out the door. This amazingly attractive offer comes from Volks, a casual restaurant that specializes in affordable steaks and other meaty dishes. The closest branch to our offices is about a 10-minute walk from Shinjuku Station in downtown Tokyo. I really like some of these Japanese names, by the way. Shinjuku. As we rolled up, we saw a poster on the window confirming that even though the idea of all-you-can-drink beer for less than $1 sounds too good to be true, it really does exist. So there's a picture of a poster here and just advertising the deal. Between 2 and 7 p.m., 100 yen will get you 10 minutes of all-you-can-drink alcoholic beverages with 10-minute extensions costing an additional 100 yen. Now, okay, I want to stop right here because 100 yen will get you 10 minutes of all-you-can-drink alcoholic beverages. Now, I don't know about you, Tim, but it'll take me 10 minutes just to drink one beer most of the time. So I don't really know how sweet of a deal this is. I mean, what are your thoughts so far on this?
Yeah, I don't like the time limit situation. That doesn't do anything for me. That's just essentially saying that it's like, how much was it? $1? It's less than $1?
86 cents American, yeah.
Yeah, so you're just 86 cents for a beer, essentially.
That's weird. Imagine if a buffet worked like that. All you can eat buffet, but only for 15 minutes.
Yeah, right?
That would not work out because well, maybe it could. Maybe like maybe those speed eating people can do that, but like your regular everyday Joe, that wouldn't work out very well. The menu for the deal includes Asahi Super Dry Draft Beer in large, medium, or small glasses, whiskey highballs, shochu sour cocktails, lemon and grapefruit flavors, plum and cocktails, and finally red or white wine in glasses or decanters. Do you know what shochu is? I've never heard of shochu.
Soju. It's I think it's Korean liqueur kind of thing. I've never drank it, but I'm familiar with it.
Oh, I'm seeing it. Yeah, I googled a picture of it. Yeah, it's like some kind of a liquor.
I think it's sweet.
Yeah, it doesn't look like your atypical alcoholic or spirit bottle. It's like more. It almost looks like a lightish yellow liquid in a glass type thing. I don't know. Let's see here. The clock starts running as soon as you ask your server for all you can drink plan. So we decided to time ourselves to see how many rounds we could get for just for 100 yen. After we asked for our first beer, it took 1 minute and 52.12 seconds to arrive. You have to drain your glass before ordering another drink, so we knocked out Asahi back quickly, polishing it off at about 4-minute mark and promptly asking for a refill, which came at about 6 minutes and 52.73 seconds into our campaign. Since the clock stops on the all-you-can-drink plan when you go up to the register to pay, we realized we weren't going to have time to order a third drink, down it, and pay before our 10 minutes were up. But because an extension would cost us 100 yen more, we just decided to get it classy with a glass of white wine, which came to our table 10 minutes and 15.41 seconds after we'd started. I like that they're timing this, by the way. That's great. So the article just goes on about that, but I think that's really interesting that they do that. The time limit, though, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, unless they said it was like, half an hour, that would make more sense. But yeah, right. 10 minutes seems like a bit of a. It does sound super gimmicky, and that's when I saw the headline, I wanted to talk about it because I knew, this sounds like a gimmick. So let's find out how big of a gimmick it actually is.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah. So that's pretty gimmicky. I don't know if that would really work. I don't think that would really work here in the U.S. Like if some bar or pub or brewery did that. I don't think people would really be into it, like to give someone a 10-minute limit. Because some beers are very heavy and they take more than 10 minutes to drink sometimes,
Yeah, I could see that.
Like for me, like the really tart, sour stuff. Like remember I did the Tart of Darkness on the show one time?
You did.
Like a glass of that would take me well over 10 minutes to drink, I think. Because that's not something you just down, So,
right.
What was I going to say? Okay, so that's that article. Did you have something ready to go, or?
Sure, yeah. I mean, before we start an article, I think I'm going to start a beer.
Okay.
Let me pour this out. I've got the Swami's IPA from Pizza Port Brewing in San Diego, California. I think they might be in Escondido or something like that. So, and what I've got is an article here on We are Bruce studs, I guess. And it says Bruce or Beer Spectives, how one troll fooled the Washington Times and beer bloggers everywhere. um, and so it seems to be a story about a man who he claimed to be a craft brewer and called for a boycott of Budweiser because of them moving in, I guess, into his neighborhood. And so the citizen, who is a small brewer here, called for the boycott was William Kelly, who had never actually brewed a single batch of beer in his life when he started the whole thing. He had boycott T-shirts for sale that he was selling involved with that. And he was selling them in time for the Super Bowl, I guess they're saying here. He's an AM radio jock and self-proclaimed senior media strategist. And so, yeah, he had never brewed anywhere. And he essentially set this up through social media. Let's see what we got here. Approximately 12 minutes of researching Kelly's background and claim, which apparently is more than many beer writers had. So people kind of just fell for his story. And he said he recommended drinking Miller Coors instead of Budweiser. So it's kind of like the whole thing just comes across very, very shady. Let's see. The real suckers here. This may be a little inside baseball, but press releases are scatter shots. Often they are sent out to many news outlets as the email accounts. The boycott release probably was ignored by about thousands of other, by about 8,000 other outlets, but seized upon by idiots and reblogged by the lazy and suckers. So yeah, it's I think the whole thing is that it got picked up by the Washington Times as if it was a real phenomenon that was happening this year, especially for Super Bowl, and it was all just made up by this shock jock radio asshole. So Adrian, what do you think about that story?
Well, see, that's what annoys me is that, again, not to go down that route, but the whole fake news thing that's going around right now, right? It's like a bad virus that's spreading to everything. And what you're describing basically just sounds like fake news to me. I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, in a way, like who's in charge of these news organizations anymore who are in charge of vetting stuff, vetting how nobody, right? Like, so yeah, I think it doesn't surprise me because it kind of reminds me of that Nathan For You episode where he dupes a bunch of TV stations into thinking this one guy is like a fitness expert who all he did to get buff and healthy was by moving furniture. And he duped like 5 stations. Two of them are stations that I used to work for, by the way.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, I never told you that, did I? Yeah. So KMIR, I'll just throw it out there, was one of them. And then
fantastic.
The station I worked for in Salt Lake City was another station that got duped. And for those of you that aren't in the loop on this, that happened like a couple of years ago. Nathan For You is a comedian on Comedy Central. He's got his own show where he basically has these crazy, super complex gags where he basically just pulls pranks on people and business owners and stuff. He convinced all these TV stations, media outlets that this dude, this buff, like, fit dude, got that way by just moving furniture. So he would go on these on national and local talk shows, morning news shows, and basically say, look, like all I had, here's my workout plan. All I do is move furniture. You can get as buff as I am just by doing that. And of course, that's not the case at all. The guy works out 24/7 and takes all kinds of supplements and protein and this and that. But the stations bought it. They like there was no proper vetting process, and he was able to fool like 5 or 6 different TV stations. And I think 1 or 2 of them tried to sue the producers of the show because they got duped so bad. But
nice.
I as far as I know, I don't know. I don't think anything actually, went through in court. But I mean, it's it's pretty bad when you're not fucking finding out how real something or someone is, and then you get. And I almost want to say that's almost like the start of fake news right there, because I mean that was like a couple years ago, and it seems like it's gotten a lot worse since. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just pranks. I mean, the thing is that there's a difference between fake news and pranks. You know what I mean? And
so the intention is different, but it's still the same outcome, right?
I guess, but also like what is the intention? Because, right, okay, so fake news got invented. The original person to come up with the term fake news was using it to describe stories that were made up for profit, not necessarily to dupe people, but just to make money. And now Trump has taken it over and turned it into fake news means anything that he deems not true, and because it's negative and it's just attacking him rather than being, facts, I guess, or if he even cares about facts. So, I mean, what does fake news mean, and what, like, how can you say what's the intent of fake news is or isn't, and what's the difference between just a prank and a fake news? You know what I mean? Like, so much of it is so weird because it's just a made up term. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, I guess the Nathan For You stuff isn't. I guess that just is more of an elaborate prank. So you're right. But when a TV station or any media organization runs with it, and without vetting it and stuff, to the people who don't know that it's a prank, I mean, they're just going to see it as, they're going to see it as fake news once they realize that, the station was duped or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, I guess either or. I mean, I guess a prank, no matter how elaborate, can still count as fake news, right? But what you're saying is right too, because fake news essentially, yeah, most of it, I guess, is people just making shit up to get, the advertising dollars, from whatever clicks they get, right?
Right.
And clickbait articles that you see all the time. I mean, that's almost like dipping your toe into the water that is fake news in a way. Because I see clickbait articles all the time. It's not necessarily fake news, but it's an over sensationalized article headline. I don't know. It's just it's a weird gray area sometimes, I guess.
It really is.
And the thing is, how do you battle it? How do you curb how much fake news that you're going to get exposed to? Like, I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start, I guess,
And I mean, should you care?
I think when it comes to political stuff, you should kind of care, because I see people share on Facebook all the time stuff from Occupy Democrats and US Uncut, and I'm not saying those are fake news websites, but those are very, very clickbaity websites that I think is on the are borderline fake news in a lot of ways, and it kind of pisses me off, because as much as you hate, Trump or whoever's in charge, like, you're not doing anyone any you're doing people a disservice by sharing stuff that's either exaggerated or just not true at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you share a headline that says, President Trump, I don't know, slapped a baby in the face or something, like, maybe there is some truth to it. Maybe there was like an accident where that happened or whatever. But the headline itself is, I think, where it starts. You know what I mean? That's where it kind of leads you down a path to the dark side. Am I making sense? I don't know if that's a good example, but you understand what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
So I think, let's just say, know your sources, and if you ever question the validity of, I don't know, I can't talk tonight. If you ever question how valid something is, just fucking look it up yourself. It takes 2 seconds to go on Google, and I do that all the time, by the way. I don't know if you do this, Tim, but if I see something that says that seems a little fishy, I'll Google it, and I'll compare. I'll see what comes up in Google News and stuff, and I'll see, okay, that's either real or true, or it's just clickbaity, or it's just fake altogether. That's right. That's how I vet stuff, and it honestly isn't that hard. Like, everyone has the internet at their fingertips. All you have to do is Google shit, and you'll find out. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna see what it really is, right? So, but enough about that. See, we're supposed to be talking beer tonight, and we're doing the. Damn it! See, we went down the.
We are talking beer. Okay, so here's one. It looks like Stone Brewing was looking for a place to put a new brewery. Or build something. It says here that they were planning on doing something that would be $60 million and 375 jobs created on the East Coast. And they were talking to people in Ohio. And Ohio had a limit on the ABV for beers. Let's see. So it looks like the Ohio limit for ABV was 8.45, which is pretty good. So they decided instead to go to Virginia, where the cap for fully fermented beer ABV is 12%. I find it interesting that they have beer ABV limits laws anywhere, like at all. Like, I would assume you'd either just have it or not have it, and I don't understand why you'd have a 12% limit on that.
Well, I've mentioned it in Utah. They have an
Yeah,
ABV limit, and I think I've heard of other states that have limits on ABV as well.
right. I'm saying I don't know why you would have an ABV limit that's 12%, though.
That's because most beers don't even hit anywhere near that.
Right. So you think if you're going to go to 12%, you just have no limit.
Yeah,
I guess is the point.
yeah, that's true. Why would you? That does seem a little weird. Yeah.
But it looks like the Ohio beer ABV cap is being, or the law that put that in place is expiring, and they're not going to continue it. So it's really interesting. It seems like Stone not opening up this facility there actually pressured Ohio to open up. And I don't know if you ever heard of Brewdog, but they're a brewery, I guess, in Columbus or just outside of Columbus.
I've heard of them, but I've never had anything from that.
They have a lot of really good beers, but it looks like they're kind of the main Ohio brewery, and so they're kind of going to reap the rewards of Stone doing this because, I mean, it's not like Stone's now going to go to Ohio. They've already decided they're building in Richmond, Virginia. So them kind of getting rid of the ABV cap is only really going to benefit Brewdog. So that's interesting to see what happens there because Brewdog, I think, is a brewery very good, but just on the verge of breaking out. I think maybe they could possibly even start getting more distribution and being a more national brand because they have a lot of really good beers, and I think a lot of good people or a lot of people are like getting into them and talking about how good their stuff is. So that's kind of interesting. Adrian, are you drinking anything tonight?
I was gonna pop open a beer. This is a beer that's been on the show before. Let me go grab it really quick, actually.
Yeah.
Hold on. You there?
I'm here.
All right, so... Oh, hold on. Edit point. Thank God we don't do this live.
Thank God.
I don't know what I was thinking by proposing to do a show live. You need to prepare super in advance. Okay, so this is the Comeback Kid, Jim. This is a beer that I never thought I would bring back on the show, but it was so good and I enjoyed it so much last time. This is by Dry Dock Brewing Company out of beautiful Aurora, Colorado. The Dry Dock Sour Apricot Blonde Ale brewed with apricot puree. Ooh. If you remember this, we had it on what episode was that? It was one of our shot episodes, I believe.
What's it?
And my girlfriend really enjoyed this beer. That she actually got a 6-pack of it. She's probably gonna get annoyed that I'm drinking one of hers because she got this 6-pack, but she's not here right now, so...
Well, fuck her, that's what.
But yeah, I just cracked it up in this beer. Yes, this has a nice apricot smell in the nose, Tim. And you know what? It tastes good too. It's not overly sweet. And if I remember, let's see. It is a little bit sour. It really is sour. I was thinking, Tim, since we're on the topic of sours, sort of, is it harder to brew sour beers than than other stuff? You think, is it harder to brew a good sour beer, you think?
Probably, yeah. I mean, because the idea is controlled, what is the word? Controlled chaos in some ways. Right? There's a lot more that goes into it. I actually was just reading an article here that was talking about being more scientific. A brewery that's being a lot more scientific with their sour brewing. Because a lot of them, the idea of souring is spontaneous fermentation, wild yeast strands, kind of going back to the old style in the Belgian traps, where it's just kind of the beer is sitting out there with maybe just a cheesecloth over the top, covering any particulates from falling in, but really just letting the air kind of, let it live and be a living organism that's getting stuff from the outside. So, I mean, it's tough, especially because you have so little control. I think you can do you can kind of do a beer that you have control over all the time and know exactly what to expect because you're following the same process over and over again. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I think it would be harder.
that makes sense because I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, pretty much every brewery you go to, they're all going to have IPAs. They're all going to have stouts, porters, lagers, pale ales, so have you, right? You rarely, at least in my experience, I don't see as many like sours or ghosts or like tart, like those kind of beers. Like if I do see them, they're more like specialty beers that they only release, at a certain time of the year or whatever, or they're just specialty beers in general that maybe are only available in the tap room or whatever. And I was thinking, well, maybe the process for that has to be a lot more involved if you don't see these type of beers as often, right? So,
Right.
But you know what, Dry Dog is doing a good job. Honestly, I like their sour apricot. It reminds me of what was that one beer? I think it was by Wasatch Brewing. It was their apricot. It wasn't a sour, but it was really good. And this is basically like a more sour version of that beer. And I don't know. I think the apricot flavor really complements a beer well. You know what I mean? Because it's fruity, but it's not sweet. And you know, Tim, as I said it a million times on the show, I hate when beers are too sweet.
Right.
Give me bitter and sour any day of the week, but don't give me. That's why like the cider episode we did was a little hard because ciders are always going to be sweet. You know what I mean? So anyway, I enjoy a sour, hoppier, tartier stuff, if you will. I have another article in front of me, Tim. If I can indulge you for a minute. Oh, you want to?
I'll let you close out with that last article, but I want to just have kind of a discussion based on a couple articles that I've seen now, and just a discussion with you.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Because it's getting to be Pliny time again. Pliny the Younger is coming out from Russian River, and I'm seeing multiple articles talking about questioning the idea of kind of the white whale, the specialty beers, the Pliny the Elders, the hunt and the waiting in line for beers. What do you where do you come down on kind of the relic chasing or looking for trying to get these achievement beers, waiting in line and tasting these allocated specialty beers? Like, is that for you, or do you think that's not for you? Where do you come down? Because a lot of these articles are talking, I can't see any reason why you wait in line for beer. Do you agree with that?
Well, let me say this, Tim. And you know me well. You've known me since really well over the last 4 or 5 years since we've been doing a show together, right? And you know that if it takes too much effort to do something, I probably won't do it.
Right.
So let me preface it by saying that, okay? And I read an article one time about it was something on the beer subreddit where someone was like, yeah, if you even want a shot at getting that beer, you have to get up at like 6 a.m. and show up to get in line. And even by then, there's already people in line ahead of you waiting to try that beer and get a growler's worth of it, right? I'm not about that. I don't think it's. I honestly don't. I love beer, you know I do, but I don't think it's worth it to stand in line for that or for anything really. Honestly, for anything, whether it's standing in line for the newest iPhone, standing in line for the premiere of some big movie, even if it's Star Wars. And I love Star Wars, but I'm not gonna fucking stand in line for it. I'm not gonna camp out in front of Best Buy on Black Friday, and I'm not gonna stand in line to try a special rare beer that some brewery is releasing. No, it's not worth it to me. But I'm not gonna slam the people who do that. If you're passionate enough to go out and do that, more power to you. But it's not my thing, and I personally don't think it's worth it. Where do you stand on it personally?
I think I agree with you. I think that there's a place for it. I think I'm not necessarily 100% against drinking these beers that are the white whale beers. You know what I mean? I would drink them, but I also agree with you about the waiting in line. I kind of find that if you're waiting in line for anything, as you said, then that just means you didn't do your homework. You know what I mean? There is something out there. It's like out here there's a really popular bakery called Porto's. And people will go there and they'll wait in line for all this stuff. And they say, oh, it's worth it because of this, that, and the other. It's so good, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I know of a couple different bakeries that sell all the same stuff, and it's just as good, and it's because you don't know it. And it's kind of that trendy, and you didn't take the time to look up and look and find these other versions or this other stuff that compares just as well that's not on the beaten path. And I'm the guy who I prefer to do the legwork and find these beers that people don't know about, you know, rather than be in line to try the beer that everyone is so excited for. So I agree with you in that regard, but I think almost in a different way than what you're saying there. Because I think that a lot of times the fun of this stuff is kind of finding it and discovering it yourself, and not necessarily just knowing, oh, at this time of the year this comes out and I go stand at line at this liquor store to have this same beer every year because I know, you know, everybody else does it and we all talk about how great it is. I'm like, I'd rather get out there and I'd rather drink 3 okay beers that I never had before to find that one great beer than I would want to just drink 5 beers of the same thing that I know that I really like. You know what I mean?
Yes. And see, your response to that question shows how you're more deliberate in your approach to things, and I go with my gut. And as we said in the top of the show, that's where the truth lies, right?
That's true.
To circle back to that, I totally get what you're saying. And you tend to do that, to do more of that. Like you're more about, like you said, doing some research, thinking about it a little bit more, and also what I wanted to say was that it seems like big cities like L.A. and New York, it seems like that's a thing. The whole going to the trendy place for brunch, or going to the cool brewery for some rare beer, or this and that. It seems like in bigger cities like LA and New York are ripe for that sort of thing. Maybe it's just me, but that's what it seems like, because you don't really get that in smaller cities or smaller towns, I guess, you know. And it makes sense because there's way more people in LA and New York, so I guess that's probably why it is kind of a thing there to do that sort of thing. But I mean, yeah, it's even if it was a thing anywhere else, I still wouldn't do it, because like I said, you know, I don't think it's worth standing in line for that. But having said that, I think it would be a great idea for an episode, like to do like a one-time thing where I go and I stand in line for something cool at some brewery that I can get, and then, you know, doing an episode on that. I think that would be a fun episode idea, at least. At the
that is actually. I like that.
Yeah. So I'll just have to. Excuse me, I keep burping these beers, right? I'll have to keep my eyes and ears open. And if I hear something, I'm gonna see if I can maybe, you know, if it's on the weekends and stuff, you know, I'd definitely be down to do something like that. But, you know, just for the show, just so I can just to show people what I'm willing to sacrifice for doing this show.
You'll show them, huh?
Yeah, and the other interesting thing is that breweries will do that, right? Like they'll say, you know, only available in our tap room, and only between these hours on this day is when you can get this specific beer. Like they will do stuff like that, right? Like, do you see that a lot? Do you see that, especially like in LA? Do you see that a lot?
Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. It doesn't necessarily entice me as much, so
it doesn't.
So I don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So yeah. So what I wanted to close out really quick with, this is an article by. What's the website? Goodbeerhunting.com.
Oh, I love their podcast.
I haven't. Oh, do they have a podcast?
Yeah, it's really good. I recommend it.
I'll have to listen to it. Sierra Nevada talks uphill battles and the dying art of brewing beer. Ooh. Okay, so let's read a little bit of it. The gist. Last week, brewers from all over the globe convened at Sierra Nevada's East Coast facility in Asheville, North Carolina, to get an early taste of the dozen beers they helped create for inclusion in beer camp across the world. A collaborative variety 12-pack slated for release in June. GBH was there, reporting on the corrective implications of the pack and how the company is trying to one-up past iterations of beer camp, which heretofore, that's a word I don't see very often, merely went across America. There was, however, a moment worthy of wider attention that didn't make it into our original dispatch. Addressing a roundtable of brewers from as near as Texas and as far afield as New Zealand, Brian Grossman, Sierra Nevada's vice president, offered up an assessment of the brewing business that stood contrary to every cheerleading manifesto published over the course of the last decade. We all know it's a dying art, is what he said. From a side table, it was tough not to make note that Grossman was speaking these words from inside an utterly enormous beer cathedral, a standing monument to the vitality of the brewing industry. Seriously, Sierra Nevada's East Coast digs are something else. But context is important, and that wasn't the end of the quote. He continued, "There's a lot of people getting into our industry that don't invest the time and the effort that it takes to really master the craft. That, he said, affects how people perceive the industry at large, which creates problems for both established breweries and good newcomers alike. Quote, "That's what beer camp really is," he continued, showing there's still a lot of great brewers out there. But this isn't the only challenge Sierra Nevada faces as the craft beer industry continues to crowd. So during a sit-down interview later that afternoon, GBH asked Brian, alongside Ken Grossman, who founded the company in 1980, about some of the other uphill battles. The following conversation is pieced together from a wider range of interview and has been edited for clarity. Okay, so really quick. So we won't get into the conversation too much, but what do you think about that so far?
So far, I'm like not 100% understanding. This person's taking a weird tact, kind of feeling a little bit combative towards Sierra Nevada, and I don't understand why.
Well, what's interesting is that you don't hear from TV or movie studios saying, filmmaking is a dying art because not anybody can purchase a DSLR and Final Cut Pro and edit movies on their computers. You know what I mean? So it's interesting.
Right.
It's interesting that the vice president of a large company like Sierra Nevada would say that out loud. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, don't you think that's kind of weird that he would even say that? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess I get where they're coming from, but yeah, I mean, it's funny, yeah, because to think of it, it's like Sierra Nevada started out small, so what are you even saying? Like, just because you're big now doesn't mean you always were that way, so what's the difference between you and everybody else that's starting out now?
Yeah, so I'll get into the first part of this. So GBH says, "You called brewing a dying art form, which is an interesting perspective just because looked at another way, beer quality is sort of at unprecedented levels. Could you elaborate on what you were getting at there?" And Brian responds, "Where we're at today, there are not a lot of barriers to entry. $5,000, you can get a warehouse, you can get a brew system, and you can be making beer. And that's happened all over the country. That's not necessarily a good thing because of the fact that we do have uphill battles and challenges ahead of us with large beer, and we still need to get more drinkers in our industry. We all know the craft beer drinker is promiscuous. We all know they drink around. So getting every new drinker in our industry is very important for us. And when this new drinker tries a beer that is not properly crafted and is full of issues, the drinker doesn't go back to craft again. That's the root of that statement. There's plenty of room for good beer that's out there, but not everyone is making good beer. So quality is the root of the statement." Okay, all right. So he elaborates more on that. That kind of makes sense. I mean, what do you think? I don't know about the entry, how much it costs to actually get into it. $5,000 seems really cheap, but I don't really know much about the business side of things. What do you think?
Right. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it. He's talking about just the basic brewing setup. You also need space and time and the products that you're actually going to make. You know what I mean? So there's so much more to it.
Well, isn't there a lot of overhead, too, with all the ingredients that go into making beer?
Exactly, yeah.
You got to buy them in mass, or you got to buy large quantities?
Well, not necessarily, but you do need a lot of it, so. The other thing, too, is I don't know. I mean, I guess I kind of get where he's coming from for the most part here, but at the same time, like, I don't know that that's true. I don't think that it is a one time only. I don't know. Have you ever met anybody who, like, they drank one bad craft brew and then that was it?
No.
Like, I don't think that that's true at all. I think that, like, people might get, if the first time they drink a craft beer they don't like it, I don't think that's going to be it for them forever. It might turn somebody off if they're just trying it out for a little bit, but I think eventually they might come back and try something else and find out what they like. I don't think anybody is that close-minded. I mean, once you get to the point where you're willing to try a craft beer, I don't think you're going to be that close-minded to where you're not going to understand that there's a lot of variation between all the different kinds.
Yeah, it does seem weird that he would say that. Like, you see one bad movie, are you going to stop going to the movies? Are you going to stop watching movies? No, right? Or
right.
Let me put it another way. You see one bad independent film, you're not going to just stop watching independent movies. I don't think, anyway, because there's a lot of good independent movies being made. There's also a lot of bad ones, but
right.
Yeah. So it is kind of a weird thing to say. Here I'll go into a little bit more. GBH says, "Are you hopeful the industry will correct itself in that regard?" And he responds, "I think there's definitely a windy sea ahead of us, and the boats are going to start rocking. You've already seen it with the growth of craft going to almost nothing, but I do think there will be more people going to drink good beer, highly crafted beer. So yes, I'm hopeful." It's funny. He sounds very cynical, but then he ends with being hopeful. So that's kind of strange,
Right.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about this guy altogether.
Well, he's the vice president of Sierra Nevada, so maybe he has some authority to make those kinds of statements, right? I mean, he would have to be, I would think.
Maybe.
Unless
He
he's
might be the guy. You're right. You're right. He might be the guy.
unless he's out of touch and it's just like he's just more of a marketing dude. You know what I mean?
It's possible.
I mean, who really knows anymore, right?
Nobody knows anymore, honestly.
Yeah, so I think I'll end it there. I mean, we can share this article. They go into more numbers and business talk into it, but it's pretty interesting. I'm gonna have to check out GBH's podcast. I didn't realize I had a podcast.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I'd recommend it to anybody. It's a lot of fun. It usually kind of gets in depth. It's one of the better. I'd say it's definitely my preferred kind of beer podcast that I listen to, other than our show.
And here I was thinking we're the only beer podcast.
Well, yeah, in some ways we are, but I mean, comparatively, they kind of take that NPR kind of not high production, but kind of introspective and smart kind of look at things. So I definitely enjoy it. I think it's a good show. So I mean, obviously their article is written pretty similarly. So they don't take a super elitist stance towards everything, but I would also say that they're not super like all inclusive, I would hope personally for my taste. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's cool that they have a podcast. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm definitely bookmarking that now. Tim, before we go, I was talking to a coworker of mine yesterday, and I was asking him, I was like, "Oh, so what kind of?" He's an older guy. I was like, what kind of beer do you normally drink? He's like, "Oh, I just stick with like Bud Light, Coors, whatever." I'm like, "Oh man, you gotta try craft beer though." He's like, "No, I had a craft beer one time," and actually funny that we read that article. He's like, "I had a craft beer one time, and it was it was too much, man. Like it was just too." And I'm like, "Well, what kind of beer was it?" He's like, "I don't remember. I just like the lighter stuff, like with Coors." So I told him, I'm like, "I'm gonna find you a beer that's like what you're drinking now, but better," basically. So I've been thinking in my head. I think easily the easiest thing to recommend him would be, for example, Odell's wheat beer that they have, which is delicious.
Right. Well, what does he like?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He likes the lighter stuff, like the lagers, those type of beers, basically, like lagers, basically, like what Bud Light and Coors and Miller and all those companies make, just like that sort of yellow light piss beer. But I know there's craft beer out there that's like that, but 10 times better because it's not the mainstream bullshit. So I wanted to ask you, what would you recommend along those lines? Like what do you think would be good?
What's it? Oscar Blues Little Yellow Pills or whatever.
I was thinking the same thing, believe it or not. It's funny you should mention that.
Yeah, I'd start there. I'd maybe look for a dry hopped Pilsner that you find, whichever brewery has one. I'd go for something like that because the dry hopping is usually not super intense,
Yeah.
So do like a dry hopped, whatever kind of lager you can find. Or maybe even it depends on what his thing is, what he had before that was too much. Sometimes I go the opposite and look for something that's a little bit sweet, maybe roastier, maybe even sour. Like sometimes, you say it's too much, you like something light. What about a Berliner Weiss? Like it's a little tart, not super strong, but it has a lot more flavor and there's a lot more craftsmanship in the beer. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, that's getting the wheels rolling in my head a little bit, and I'm already thinking about stuff that I've had that I think he would really enjoy. But I think a wheat beer would be a really good place to start. A wheat beer or a Pilsner or even a Ghost. I think a Ghost would be a good place to start too. I mean,
as you say it, I thought about it, and Berliner Weiss Goes, all those are wheat beers. I mean, remember we talked about it when we did those episodes where they said that the wheat beer was kind of the original, the grandfather of all those styles. So, any of those can really kind of tick that box for something that's, I think a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of the lagers here in America are German-style beers ported over to American styles. And a lot of those kind of German-style wheat beers and stuff like that people don't realize are really not too far off from the mainstream Big Four beers here in America. They just have, again, as I said, a lot more craftsmanship and a lot more dedication and time put into actually a well-balanced, good beer that's complex with a lot of flavor rather than just, here we pump out this beer and it tastes kind of shitty. you know.
Right.
But they're not heavy. They're not high in alcohol. There's lots of flavor, you know. So I don't know.
Well, my plan is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get something along those lines, and
Right.
I'm gonna, like a 6-pack or whatever, and I'm gonna just take out one single can or single bottle and just take it to him at work and leave it on his desk and say, "Here, try this," and hopefully he takes it home and puts it in his fridge, and the next day he drinks it, and he, tells me if he likes it or not. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to.
Exactly.
I'm gonna try to. What's the word when someone tries to get you into be a part of their religion? What's the word? There's a word for it.
Evangelize?
I'm gonna try to evangelize craft beer with some of my coworkers.
That's it.
That's what I'm gonna try to do. I think it'll be fun.
Well, Godspeed, son. Namaste, as it were. And you're doing the Lord's work out there.
I really am. Okay, now, so Tim, is there anything you wanted to plug really quick before we go?
Oh God, I don't know. Podcasts aplenty. Last week on This Week in Wrestling, I teased that I was going to have something out for my other show, my new show that I've only done one episode of, and things kind of fell through. And I didn't give a time frame. I just said that it would be soon, but I'll even just say things kind of fell through. It's actually a good thing that happened, leading to why the podcast couldn't get done, which is what I always like to say at work. At the end of the day, I'll say I'll see you tomorrow, unless something really, really bad happens or something really, really good happens. Because, sometimes those are the only things that kind of mix up your schedule. So I'll just come out and say it and give him a little shout out. I'm really happy for him, is Jamesy from Wrestling with Words and from the Dr. Keith Presents show over there with Alan Farrell. They've been doing the World of Sports stuff. He had his second daughter, and that's why I didn't get to record with him like I had planned to, but things are getting rescheduled, so the podcast will still be coming out soon. Otherwise, This Week in Wrestling is always a great show to just listen to, talking about modern wrestling. But again, we'll do it live. It's a passion project for me. It's kind of your trip around the world of wrestling without having to, deal with the TSA not letting you back into America and paying for those expensive plane tickets. You get to see what it's like to go to shows everywhere just by hearing the stories and everything. So I'm excited for that. Otherwise, just follow the Twitter over at Lucha Undead.
Cool. Follow me at Della Boots. Follow my other podcast at Storygerm. Tim, I want to end really quick.
Before you do, one more thing that we really got to plug. Over at Voices of Wrestling forums, they're doing the top 50 ROH wrestlers of all time. It's in conjunction with PTBN, so get over there, check it out, voicesofwrestling.com. Look for the forums, look for the top 50 wrestlers of ROH. Fill out your ballot and get that turned in ASAP, because I think it's ending here pretty soon, so just get on it, everybody.
Awesome. Okay, Tim, so I want to end on a meme of the week, okay? This is a brand new segment. I might just do this once, but I want to do it because I think it's funny. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Can you hear that?
I could not hear anything. I got nothing.
You're not hearing that?
Not hearing anything.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to just play it like this. Ready for this?
I'm ready.
Yeah. So the audience are a bunch of hoes. Yeah.
I know you hear that, right?
Yeah.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Catch you outside? What does that mean?
What I just said. Catch her outside and she'll go outside and do what she has to do.
So this is a 13-year-old girl on Dr. Phil, and she said, "Cash me outside. How about that?" And of course, as the internet always does, I should say, it become a running meme, and you're seeing it everywhere now. So we always have our finger on the pulse here at Top Beer as far as memes go.
Yes.
So I hope you enjoy that meme for as long as it runs. I'm sure it'll be dead in a couple of weeks, but that's fine. I think it's funny. The girl's only 13, so she's got a lot of years ahead of her. Who knows? She might pop up here and there.
It's definitely funny, but it's also in some ways kind of sad. But whatever.
Yeah, it reminds me of you had a bit one time you did where you said it was about how someone was talking to a judge, and part of your bit was like, "Bitch, you're talking to a judge." Because she said, "What happened was," do you remember that?
Yes, but that was an adult, so it feels a little bit more okay to make fun of her. This girl is 13 years old. It's just kind of sad that her mom. I'm kind of like, her mom is there judging her and put her on display for the world to make fun of her, and it's kind of like, bitch, this is your fault. Like, you shouldn't be sitting there judging her. You're the fucked up parent who didn't raise her right. But whatever.
Yeah, whatever. And for the record, she doesn't look 13 because of all the makeup and stuff she's wearing. So it's kind of strange.
It is tough to guess because she is dressed in a way that you would think she'd be like in her late teens, possibly even in her 20s, and then to then have to stop yourself and remember that she isn't an adult and she is a child, so it's not fair to judge her the way you would judge an adult.
That's true. As always, you make a very good point, Tim. All right. Well, Tim, I think we're gonna go out on how we always go out with the famous saying of the 3 Bs. Can you tell us what that is?
You know what those 3 Bs are. They're good beers, good buds, and good banter. And sometimes it's just about good news. News of the brews.